Public notice having been given, quorum being present, the meeting is duly constituted and I call to order. First order of business is approval of the agenda. You have the agendas in front of you.
I have 2 items to add.
Okay.
The first is 9C, which is resolution to appoint a representative to the North Shore Substance Abuse Working Group. And the second is, it's just in addition to the correspondence, simply because it's somewhat time sensitive.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that. Did we need to do something about the letter to John Weston, or was that taken care of?
I can follow it up.
In the
Doesn't need to
strategy?
happen here.
Good. Anybody else? Okay, motion to approve. Second. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried. So the agenda's on public participation. Speakers list exists, I know. Thanks. Mr. J. Stone.
Thank you.
You'll be pleased to know the lectern is being repaired.
That's good. As long as this table doesn't collapse. I wanted to speak to council with regard to the bylaw, procedure bylaw. I start off by saying that for new members of council, you should be aware of the reasoning why that bylaw is being considered. Personally, I don't think there's anything drastically wrong with the current bylaw, and that I believe that perhaps you might be wasting your time doing a revision. There were 3 basic reasons why that bylaw was brought forth to be amended. They were meetings that I was attending in the gallery. The first instance was when the dates for council were being set, and there was an error made by Mr. Consultant. I brought it to his attention, and rather than him, just changing the date, he, in my opinion, was quite stubborn and refused to admit that he made a mistake. And there are people like that, and so as a result, you'll notice that information about setting the dates in the bylaw have been changed somewhat. The second instance was when a bylaw had passed 3rd reading, and council tried to rescind the 3rd reading, which was not permissible, and I don't believe it's permissible at all. And that is in the revised bylaw now, and I don't think council should be allowing a rescinding for 3rd reading, if that's essentially a passage after the 3rd reading. They can debate a bylaw up to the 3rd reading, but after the 3rd reading, you shouldn't be able to rescind the 3rd reading. And that's what happened, because an item was left off the 5-year plan, which was the bylaw, and so they wanted to put it back on, and so they tried to rescind it. I brought it to their attention, and again, there was some research done. It's not allowable, and it's anyhow.
Was that the 30-second warning?
No, that was the 2 minutes.
That's the 2 minute. Okay, can you wrap up your last sentence?
Yes, and the third one was a failure to post a notice of a meeting, which I brought to the attention, and council refused to dismiss the meeting, and so that's changed. And also, I'm very concerned about, and I mentioned it in January.
I'm going to have to stop you there, Mr. Stone.
Section 8 or 9 is totally out of the...
Of the new one?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's totally, I don't know the right word, it shouldn't be in there.
Okay.
It gives council too much leverage and room to do just about anything that they want.
Okay, thanks. Well, we're going to be looking at that today, so that's very timely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Gone. Okay, so that's that. Item 4 on the agenda, delegations. Do we have any? No delegations. Seeing none, we'll proceed. We move to adoption of the minutes. The first set of minutes to be adopted is on page 3 of the minute of the meeting of January 27. Under item 6 on page 4, did we want to say what option 1 was, or are we going to do that from now on?
Well, the report is attached as part of the official.
In the minutes?
Yeah, it's the official, we have to keep a hard copy of
Fine,
the
okay, so taken care
agenda
of.
package.
Good.
So,
And Councillor Watterson opposed, was that correct?
yes.
Yes.
And nobody else?
No.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? So motion to, is it approve or accept?
Either works. Adopt, adopt is fine.
I've got to get it right. Adopt. Second, all in favour? Opposed? That's carried. And the next is the minutes of the meeting of February 3rd. I didn't have anything. Anybody else? Helen?
But I guess this is similar to what was asked just earlier. So for example, under, well, on page 4 of 8, under Finance Committee,
The 2 action items?
well, the one, no. It was where council referred to the report titled Consolidated Water, whatever. So I was thinking, should we put that we are in agreement to defer the consolidated water rates?
Not sure what you're asking.
Oh,
Just
to
wait.
add to that. And
And
acknowledge the recommendation provided, so the recommendation.
report itself is part of the official package, and the minutes go with it, but we can certainly amend the minutes if you want that in there.
It's just that so people don't have to flip,
To find it.
yeah,
Find it,
because they
Is there
might.
any way to say what page it's on?
And I'm just also thinking that we need to, I think one of the points was that the Brunswick Beach residents needed to have good notice, and so maybe this is sort of, giving them a start of giving them notification.
Can we just say the recommendation provided, colon, and quoted? Even though it is included 4 pages later. It just makes it easier to find. I agree. It's just cut and paste. Everybody okay with that one?
And I have one more.
Yep.
Under Manager of Public Works report, I think it was requested that we wanted the work plan in a matrix. Is that also?
Yes, we did request that. Sorry, what number is that? Oh.
I don't.
D. The bottom.
Yeah, I think that's implicit in the report. Maybe not. Did we say that? I did. And I specifically remember asking for that.
Yep.
Okay, so can we amend that action to staff to provide council with a report indicating current service levels for consideration of the budget and
With the report in matrix format?
well, this is it's actually 2 reports because the current service levels. Well, I can envisage a way that the report actually is both the work plan and the service levels. So let's do that. A matrix-based report, and that'll do it.
Matrix-based report. And also, actually, if I can just speak to, still on page 4 of 8, under D, Manager of Public Works reports, that action item is actually wrong. It wasn't the parking about the fire trucks to maneuver safely, that was a portion of it, but it was the parking report that I was sent you. That's what we were talking about, that I would send you a copy of the parking report.
Actually, sort of following on to that, is this what you're referring to?
Yeah, so that's what we have, and then they have a list of, Andrew and Nikki went around and had a list of signage, I guess that you added some things to, or had you seen it?
I had seen that report.
Somebody circulated
yeah.
something,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
was all to be part of an overall parking and signage. And what prompted that was certainly parking and not being able to get the fire trucks through, but this is worded like the report deals specifically with getting the fire trucks through,
Yeah.
and that's not.
Okay, so just strike from within
Yes,
the village,
yeah.
or parking.
Yeah.
Period. Okay, good. Thanks. Everybody good? Okay, motion to accept. Second. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, so that's good. That's taken care of. Minutes adopted. Business arising. I have one, maybe more than one. Helen, on page 8 of 124, Council Waterson agreed to follow up with correspondence as per Council's December 16th resolution related to cumulative effects assessment for House Sound. Remind us, please, what was happening there? We handed that to Jim, I think.
Yes, we did, and then I handed it back again to Jim, so I'm not sure.
Which one was that?
8 of 124.
8 of 124?
Item 6, action item on, under item 6.
Here.
What page?
8 of 124.
Shauna
Okay,
went back
so-
and reviewed the audio for this. I don't know if it helped to just let you know that. And the conversation at that meeting was simply that you were gonna review the letter to see if anything had to be undertaken at this point.
Yeah.
But this is not an opportunity we want to miss, so I don't want to let it
No,
slide.
no, I agree.
I mean, this is actually as important as the Environmental Assessment Office
Yeah.
opportunity that Ruth Symes is doing. This is a long-term thing that speaks to Howe Sound becoming a national park or an
Yeah.
industrial wasteland. So we want to
Yeah.
keep on top of that. So let's bring it up and just assign, make sure that somebody's got it assigned. We'll bring it up under new business.
So, should I,
We already
Yeah.
adopted
Can
that.
move on to it.
No, it's
So we
okay, I've
don't
got
have
it.
an agenda.
Yeah, I just-
because I
So I
got you
think
that
to bring it up for
letter
new
last
business,
time, if I could
next-
have it
Yeah,
back.
meeting.
next
At the
time.
next meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so we're on.
Can you amend that now?
Yeah, I have Shauna make a note.
I mean, as far as I just don't remember.
We can certainly circulate the letter again if that
Yeah,
would be
because I
helpful.
Oh,
think
the
I gave
letter.
my copy
Yeah,
too.
so maybe the action can be staff to recirculate that letter.
Yeah.
And
It's in our binders. I just want to know who's doing what. Okay, good. And then I had Mandy. Can you just tell us what happened on your action item?
so my meeting with West Vancouver got delayed. I don't have an update on the CN for the trail maintenance, the track maintenance, I guess.
Yeah.
The Terra. I don't have an update on that. I should by the next meeting.
Okay.
And then the strategic wildfire funding grants. Andrew and I are meeting on Thursday to talk about what that might look like.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks. So just to remind you, there's grants of up to $50,000. It's a 50-50 spend.
15.
15?
It's 15.
Okay, it's lots of fives. $15,000, 50-50 split to do wildfire interface study plan. Good. And
Are they recommending a preferred group to undertake the study?
no,
No?
no, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Under item 8D, mandate to seek information and report back to council on public works incidents referenced at Stratton Point.
Yes, so MESA stands for Medical Emergency Service Assistance, and the ABCD is just the level of severity. A being the least, and D being the most. I might have that backwards, but that's what the ABCD is. Actually, Simon might know.
It actually goes higher than D, but yes, it's
Okay.
sort of, in essence, yeah.
Thank you. And the other one was the reference to a call at Strachan. It was actually Highway 99, and the reason it was listed as a public works call is that's when Turban Creek washed out the highway, and they were helping to just clear off the highway and just assisting Miller Capilano. So it was a highway call, and it was billed as a highway, as a PEP.
It was a PEP.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to ask. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Okay.
2 items on the top of page 10, you've already done the e-post.
Yes. Under what number was that, Ron? Just to keep it in sequence.
C2,
Under
Yep.
the Finance Committee, yeah.
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on. Action item, Mandy to provide an update for the community on the Village of Lions Bay waste collection rates and upcoming e-post.
Yeah.
That's ongoing.
Well, it's 0% increase, so I don't know.
We took care of that in the e-post, in the weekly e-post.
Yeah.
The following correspondence G9, Maybo to send a response. I sent some response. I think it was this one. Consider it done. Yeah, that one we can put.
The second one is the one Andrew and I are talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And the third one is finished.
Great.
Yeah, the third one, I wanted to say good work.
Yeah, likewise. Okay, 12 action item. I was to draft a thing on the regional contact statement. Did that. As I intimated to you in my cover note, it's remarkably difficult to get it right because, first of all, it speaks to a document that doesn't exist yet. You can't presuppose what it's going to say. That's the OCP, I mean. The other thing is you have to be very careful not to turn it into a political wish list. You have to turn it into a village plan. So it's quite chicken and eggish. But I've got to start, and Mandy is going to hand it to somebody for completion.
And my understanding from our meeting was that a consultant was the preferred route.
I think so. You would face exactly the same difficulty, I think. So, you know, in terms of providing a sufficiently balanced view of what our future OCP is going to look like. What it really means is we can't do this regional contact statement until we have an OCP.
And when that report was brought forward last week, the two options were for council to undertake it or for a consultant to undertake it. So
Yeah.
just so that I'm clear on the.
Yeah. So as I said on my note, I think I've done about a quarter of it. So it's better than zero of it. So we will need to talk about that in the budget situation to pay for it. But you thought you could get a consultant to do it for? Remind me of the
Between $2,000 and $3,000.
Okay, so that's not terrible. Okay, but as far as this body's concerned, it's done. Okay. Under B, Helen was to discuss with Mandy and the community committee some potential options for volunteer day.
Yes, we had it, we
touched
had a
on
brief discussion at our last meeting, and I think we said we'll do it after, plan something after the hall grand opening.
And when we thought the weather might be a little nicer, we could
Like
do
a
something
barbecue in the
outside.
summer.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Councillor Waterston discussed with Norma Rogers her involvement on the Bassmart committee.
I haven't yet, I'm not sure if she's back from her trip yet.
Okay.
Or I've seen her, so she must be back.
Coming. Managed to include information on how to discourage bears from the community in upcoming e-post.
It was actually supposed to be wildlife, which bears fall under, but we'll do a coyote piece too, and that'll come out in this week's e-post.
Great. Okay.
If I can run us back to 9, page 11 of 124. We tabled a resolution from the fire department to approve a capital budget overrun, and because there was some confusion around it, and it left me with still more confusion because of the amount. And if I recall, I couldn't find the resolution anywhere now, but if I recall, it was about $30,000.
27.
27?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, close. My recollection from what the fire chief had said is what they were looking for was $3,000 to cover overrun on the budget for broken fire hose. So I was wondering where the rest of it came from, and I was digging around on the October 7th of 2014 regular meeting. There was a recommendation to approve a total of $21,000 to fund things like burn building overrun, thermal imaging camera, LED power amp, and 4 pagers. So my first guess at it is somehow the resolution here had this stuff included in it. No? So what's I'm unclear what that
I haven't
is.
got a clear answer from Andrew yet, so I'm not comfortable speaking to it.
Oh, okay.
He's been told to stop spending until he brings me up to date.
Okay. I'll leave it there then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, so that would then seem to me, just to reconfirm, I didn't write anything down, did not. That we are good there, so moving on to item 7, unfinished business. No? Gone? Moving on to 8. CEO report, page 15. Overview.
Yes. So just an overview of things ongoing, not a lot different than 2 weeks ago. What I can say is that the Build Canada grant application went in Friday afternoon with all the numerous attachments. Helen and I spoke last Friday about, we got the age-friendly grant, which was $20,000, 8 of which was committed to the walkway. The other 12 getting a program, a weekly program off the ground for our seniors to have some events going on a weekly basis. So we've talked about what that might look like. Helen and I are meeting with Louis Peterson and some of the other people in the Seniors Guild to talk about what they might like to see in terms of a weekly program, how much support they might need from the village to get that off the ground, or if they want to be given a weekly budget and run with it themselves. So we'll see what that looks like so that we can meet the terms of that grant. What else is in here? The walkway is scheduled to start this week. I understand they'll likely to be on site first thing tomorrow morning. And I met with Simon Watterson, who's the new chair of the tree committee. We talked about just the existing process in place for reviewing and assessing tree applications and how we might be able to streamline that process so that by the time it hits the office, it's a quicker process for everybody involved. So Simon and I will work on that together, hopefully in time for spring when we expect there's an influx of cutting.
Can I just interject that I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but that is the Trees, Views and Landscapes Committee.
It actually isn't until the bylaw has been updated.
Yeah, but the terms of reference that are being worked on,
Right.
we'll need to talk to the new ambit, if that's what I'm looking for, of the committee. Just, it's always a heads up.
We did the risk assessment on the trails. I got that document back yesterday. There's some, I don't think any of the recommendations in it are surprising at all, so that's good news. There was nothing in it that went, oh my goodness.
Well, if I could just interject, that report, nothing we didn't know already. It's nothing that I haven't sent in emails for the last 5 years. My concern didn't speak to the real risks, the geotech risk, the falling tree risk, mudslide risk. It talked about slippery walkways and a missing railing. Oh, yeah, okay, great.
So
but what are we doing about the real risks?
It was commissioned as step one in a
Okay.
process.
Yeah,
I
good.
mean, I think the next step is the bigger picture, but it's a starting point for us to have the conversations about how we're going to assess our trails on a regular basis, what we need to be aware of, things like that, signage, all that good stuff. So it's step one. There'll be more.
Where do I find a copy of that report?
I emailed it to council.
Oh,
It was either earlier today or it was yesterday
I think
before I
it was
went home.
yesterday.
I
think
saw
it's
it in there, so I know it's there.
Sorry, you
I
did
had
see
looked
it?
at it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
okay.
All right. Yeah, I think those are the highlights.
Okay.
So from a risk point of view, like, now I'm thinking back to that slide. Okay, I'm thinking all that stuff, like the trail network has bad spots and good spots, like everything. So now we've got that initial look at it, we need to take the step to go forward and get a more serious look at geotechnical issues and things like that. Is that what we're planning on doing?
We do and we don't. I also spoke to the Ministry of Forests, their risk assessor and their director of regional trails and something else. If we don't undertake a geotech, there's no increased liability to the village. I sent council the background information on that, and that's the Occupiers Act of BC, which was modified in, I think the ministry told me, 1998, to transfer the risk of trail use onto trail users. There's an understanding that when you're going to go out into trails and out into the backcountry that you're assuming some risk with that, and that municipalities can't necessarily be expected to always know what all the risks are at any given time because of all the variables. So whether we do or don't do geotech assessments, it doesn't change our liability
I'm
in
not
terms
interested in
of.
liability, I'm interested in our people not getting hurt.
No, I agree, but we also, if we implement some of the recommendations in the risk assessment, we'll also have the ability to close our trails, if need be.
Yeah, I mean, there's two instances, there's multiple
Yeah.
classes. So where the recent incident happened is actually outside the village limits. We have no jurisdiction, it's actually private land, blah, blah, blah. I am more concerned about the named, marketed trails within the village, specifically Centennial, Pride, whatever it's called, Ocean, Isle View. There's trails, and specifically Centennial, which is a long trail. It's relatively rough. There are trees that are falling. Every third day there's a tree across the path, and if there's somebody walking there, they are dead. Unless it's a really rotten tree, then it will just break over their head. That's the risk that I'm concerned about, not the liability risk. The fact that somebody's going to get hurt.
It's,
So I
it's the
think-
moral risk. That's what we're talking about. That's,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things we offer, and I'd like to. We're not going to pick up every pine cone, that's for sure. But I'm concerned that we have. It's unnecessarily risky. I mean, there's nurse logs. The big old guys. There's one that has about 6 trees growing out of it. They're now at 45 degrees, and they were straight last year. They're just waiting to come down. That's what I'm interested in knowing more about, so that we don't have a repeat of the situation we just had.
So the first step is the risk assessment, and we can adopt some kind of maintenance schedule and decide where that falls and whose purview that falls into. There are a number of steps we can take to, downsize the risk. We're never going to wipe it out completely.
Absolutely not. No, not at all. The railing on the little bridge just beyond the sound wall on the access to Centennial, it's tied up with telephone wire right now. That's not cool. It doesn't look very good, but that's unnecessarily risky. And somebody's done it. It's not necessarily the municipality's work plan item, but it needs to be given to the right people, probably the trailblazers.
And I've initiated that conversation with them.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, anything else on Mandy's report? Great, thanks. Moving on. Infrastructure Committee terms of reference.
The background on that one for everybody's remembrance, excuse me, it was produced at the previous meeting from the Infrastructure Committee, came to Council with a recommendation of one line, one extra item under committee role and responsibility should be added. Pardon me.
Goodness.
Went back to the Infrastructure Committee, and they've agreed to and approved item number 4 under committee and role and responsibility. And so now it's back to council for your approval, should you choose. Thank you.
Okay, well, speaking as the other infrastructure person, Jim wasn't there at this time, but he's seen it before. I'm good with it as well. It came with recommendation from the committee. So the recommendation is to adopt these as the committee's terms of reference.
Right.
They also serve as a model for other standing committees, which is neither here nor there, I guess, but that's good. So, do we want to do a motion to adopt as the terms of reference? Great, you may as well do it. Second, all in favour? Opposed? Carried. Oh, I just, is it correct? If a motion comes from a committee that you don't ask for a second?
Depends what your bylaw says, your procedure bylaw. If a motion must first be moved and then seconded.
Okay, well, we'll take as many seconds as we can get.
You need to backtrack to 8B and C1.
Oh, I was just going by the reports. They're not in order?
There isn't anything in there, it's a verbal.
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Okay, so backtracking.
8B.
I have nothing to add to what I've already said. Anybody else?
I could add something under committees again for the infrastructure, just for information, if that's required.
Go for it.
We had a meeting on last Thursday, and I just thought I'd report to council some of the things that the committee's looking at. We've been looking at the Central Beach wall, looking into ways of recommending to remediate an erosion problem there. we've already dealt with the terms of reference. People may have noticed the new questions, infrastructure question and answers coming into the e-posts. Infrastructure committee seems quite enthusiastic to use that as an education piece. So I hope that's going to be received well, and I hope we can feed back on that. We've had a bit of discussion on Ocean View Road. We don't have enough information on it yet. We're working on that. And we have, where are we down here? We've been talking about how to deal with water restrictions, water consumption, and all the things that go with that, and how to make it a more reliable system than we have now, and possibly better. But that's in the process, and so that's where we're working on at this time.
So ultimately, when the committee's ready, those will come forward as recommendations to council
Right.
to budget money, to do certain things.
Right.
Good. Thanks, Fred. Seder?
Yep.
Ron, finance?
Thank you, Mayor Burr. The Finance Committee met on February the 12th. A fairly brief meeting, but the residents participated wholeheartedly. They were asked and accepted to do some takeaway assignments, and the 3 members each took some, with the view that they would come back circa September the 1st with info for the 2016 budget. There'd be background to a variety of topics that would be germane at that time. One of the members took away research this is, of course, we'll be using Lions Bay's numbers, but also based on the fiscal year ends, which would be in the mid-spring. A full exploration of amortization and depreciation, both from a holistic viewpoint and what they might consider for the Village of Lions Bay as a recommendation for 2016. Another topic is mill rate and debt borrowing capacity for like-sized villages relative to population. And lastly, terms of engagement. Comparing that to what other finance committees do in other, again, like communities and other communities as well that may be larger, and comparisons of reserve levels in other communities. The next meeting will be February the 26th for a matter that will be in camera and opined on before it comes to council the first week of March.
Thank you. Good. 8D, staff, video planning report.
I'm going to invite our new CFO, Pam Rook, to join us at the table.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Burr. So the first item is the BDO planning report, which should be attached in your package for your review. And essentially, it's just a detailed annual planning report from BDO, our auditors. They do this same process every year. And it's addressed to mayor and council. And it's essentially for your review prior to the audit. It's somewhat a formality, but it also gives you an overview of the audit with some reference to some things that occurred last year. And the 2014 audit is scheduled for the week of April 20th this year. They generally come in for a week, and that's when they'll be doing the year-end audit. So I don't know if you've had a chance to review it, but if there were any questions,
I had one.
try to answer them.
On page 47, Pam, status of prior year recommendation.
Right, I don't have the whole package.
Oh,
So
okay,
what
it's
package is
there,
it?
page 26.
Oh, there, page 26, thank you. Yes.
The liability for contaminated sites. I believe we are 100% clear that that's done and dusted.
As far as I'm aware.
I fully concur.
Yeah, I think we asked the question about a couple of months ago, and it's done.
Staff has sent the
Yeah,
clean
that
off
can
report.
be taken out of their scope entirely without any further let or hindrance.
Yeah, it's not so much in their scope, it'll be an annual requirement that as part of the audit they ask if there are contaminated sites, and then we will just have to show some evidence each year that there is or there isn't.
But that's a
and if there
standard
is-
question.
It's going to be a standard, it's actually a new section of PSAB, so it would form a note probably to the financial statements. And so that's a great step that, we're sure that there are no contaminated sites, they will want some evidence of that. And right now, they're only interested in contaminated sites on unused land. Eventually, the requirement will cover all village land, but actually right now it's only unused land. So you probably have very little district
Well,
land
actually,
that's unused.
the one that did this was actually unused land up at the gravel pit.
Right. Right. So if you've already done work on that, then that's excellent, but then they'll just need some sort of report. But it will form part of the audit process every year. It will be one of the questions they ask. Do you have any contaminated sites? And we'll have to provide some sort of evidence that we do or we don't. And if you do, then you have to determine what the cost of the remediation is, and then you book that as a liability on your financial statements, because you will be required to remediate it. But this will be an ongoing thing.
Okay, very good, thanks. And then the second box, the process undertaken by the village which involved in-camera discussion by council did do that.
The employee file
Did do
section.
what? What is, the sentence says, we understand the sensitivity of pay information and the need to keep it confidential. Okay, good. The process undertaken by the village which involved in-camera discussion by council did do that. Did do that. Did do that.
Okay. Essentially, this was the management letter from 2012.
Yeah.
And this is how it was resolved. And then the section 102 would be the ones from 2013. So they'll be looking for responses for that in this year's audit. So just almost as a courtesy, they put in the 2012 managed letter, which is just, but in answer to your
Right.
question, I'm not sure what that means.
I don't think it's English, it may not
But
be.
I think he's saying that there's no problem, it's being resolved
Okay,
in
maybe.
in-camera meeting. And then it's the subsequent section, which were the things that were brought up at last year's audit, and we will be required to, if we haven't already, reply to those when they come in for this audit. And then at the end of the audit, which you can see in another part of this package, when they have the meeting with council, they'll bring forward this year's management points, if they have any, but generally they do.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a question with regards to that. So
Sure.
their recommendations, will we go through each one and decide if we're gonna follow it or not?
Yeah,
Or if it's
the whole
followed or
council is the
not?
audit committee, and so the report is to us, and we will go through.
Yeah, essentially the auditors do a recommendation, and you know, you do have the option of following it, but generally you do follow it, because the caveat is if you don't, then depending on how serious it is, you won't get a clean audit opinion. They're usually not that serious, the management reports, and usually they're good practice to do anyway. There's usually no issue in us following them. That's, you know, one of the advantages of having the auditors come in. They recommend things that improve your controls, and you're usually quite happy to implement them. But you are correct, it is a discussion with council whether or not you know, you're okay with the recommendation. And then we then have another response saying this is how we've complied.
Anything more on the audit? Okay, great. Thank you, Pam. Excellent. Moving on.
The next one's down
The
to
next one is me as well, CFO report. So I thought for my first report, the best thing that I would share with you is just, because sort of the timing of when I started kind of right in the middle of the budget, and there's a lot of statutory requirements between now and July. So this was a tool also for myself and my staff of one to go through, and we sorted a couple of ways, but I thought it would be advantageous for you to see it sorted by date, but it essentially falls into three groups. There's the budget, which we're currently working on, which will feed into the 5-year financial plan, which of course is a statutory requirement to report by May 15th. The year end, which we've touched on with the BDO package. The preparation of the financial statements, which will then be audited by BDO the week of April 20th, which will flow into a council meeting where the audit committee meeting, which will approve the financial statements. Then it goes into an annual report that we have to report to the ministry, and also our SOFI, which is our statement of financial information. And then the third is the property tax bills. Obviously the budget will flow into the tax rate, and then we have to get our property tax bills ready to be sent out the end of May for a due date of first week of July.
Okay, thanks. 2 questions. When do we get to see fourth quarter financials?
We're hoping they'll be ready in a couple of weeks. I still have some bank statements I have to reconcile, and we're still having some accounts payable coming in, so we'll have something high level probably done in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, even just ballpark.
Yes.
I don't think we've seen new numbers for some time, right?
September.
Yeah, yeah. So it's getting up to half a year. It's starting to get a little worrisome.
Okay.
5-year financial plan, that encompasses the budget process.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. It's sort of the bylaw that falls out of the budget process. You adopt a bylaw, which is your
It comes along
financial
to the right.
plan, which has to be submitted to the ministry.
Good. You got my email about the wish lists.
Yes, I do.
Thanks. Anybody else? Fred?
Do you see anything in what you've seen so far that would interfere with our statutory requirements for reporting, or are we right on?
I think we're on schedule, and it's a tight schedule just with the change in the staff, but I think it's definitely achievable.
Okay.
I mean, it was some effort. But no, I'm not alarmed at all about any deadlines that we can't meet.
Good, thanks.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
You make it sound easy. Okay, so we'll move on to 8E, the Emergency Services Report. Nothing very exciting this time.
Not so, Mayor Burr. I think, unless I'm incorrect, in only the third month of since your inauguration, you'd be one of the few mayors who could say prostitution is on the decline after the...
Yeah. Make a note of that. The joke is that there was one count of prostitution last time.
Yeah.
I noticed with interest that there's often and always a mental health act thing, and I see that the RCMP thing that we've been invited to speaks to the reporting of mental health act incidents, occurrences. So I'm going to be quite interested to understand what this is. You know, is this something we even need to know about? It seems to me to be a private affair, not a police thing. But
And just a matter of note on that, at our next meeting, the RCMP will be here to do their annual report to the village. So if you have any questions you might want to ask them, maybe give that some thought.
okay, good. Yeah. So the RCMP thing is March, April, May I think, May 20th. It's a big thing.
So we don't pay per call, we just pay.
No, we pay a flat fee.
Yeah.
flat fee.
A fairly large one. 112,000 a year is our RCMP tax.
Upfront.
Crime will know. Okay, anybody else on the safety reports, public safety reports? Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. The first is a resolution to appoint a representative to the Sea to Sky Invasive Species Council, page 57. Mandy?
So the background is there, it's fairly straightforward. Historically, former Councillor Ronsley has participated on this council in her role as a councillor. She's keen to continue as a village representative, and they are keen to have her, so.
Sounds pretty ideal. I'll move to consider. Second? Discussion? Okay, all in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Next.
This was thrown together with some haste, and so I apologize. I didn't have a chance to put background into it before I got it out. In order to appoint Pam as an official banking signatory, there needs to be an official resolution from council that accompanies her signing papers to the bank. So the recommendation is in front of you. It's really a formality in order to allow her to access all our banking.
Yeah. Your name again?
Do you want me to read it out?
I'll read. Recommendation that the village of, for a resolution, that the Village of Lions Bay Council appoints Pamela Rook as the village's chief financial officer, and that Ms. Rook be appointed as a bank signing authority.
A signing authority. That's the only signing authority we have is the banking.
What about contractual?
That's only me.
That's not what this says then.
We can add banking if you want.
Yeah, I think. Bank signing authority. Motion, second, discussion. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, thank you.
And we added one, and I'll just pass that around. And it's almost exactly the same as the first one we did for Joanne Ronsley, but a different committee. And this is the North Shore Substance Abuse Working Group, who also are keen to keep her, and she is keen to continue.
Joanne is good with this.
Yes, she is.
Does it say here that she will, yes, report back to council? Great. Okay, so we'll proceed. The resolution is that the Village of Lions Bay Council appoints Joanne Ronsley as the village representative for the North Shore Substance Abuse Working Group. Can I have a motion? Second. Discussion? All in favour? Opposed? It's also carried. So this goes here. Okay, next. This is adoption, no
Yes.
discussion.
Yes.
So motion to adopt the water rates and regulations amendment 2015 bylaw number 482 of 2015. Thank you. Second. No discussion. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Same again for the waste collection amendment bylaw. This is adoption, no discussion. Motion to adopt the waste collection amendment 2015 bylaw number 483 of 2015. Motion second. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Next up is the second reading. Is that correct, Mandy?
Yes.
Of the council procedures bylaw. I move to table the reading pending further discussion. Can I have a second? So the reason this is important, it's big. I haven't heard any discussion in strategy committee or otherwise. I would like to spend more time on this.
There's a lot of meat in this bylaw, and it's very integral to how, it's important to how we run. Everything we do is tied to this thing. So we need to make sure it suits our purpose completely.
Exactly. I have all kinds of sort of fairly technical questions like when do you need a majority and when do you need 2/3, and when is it absolutely vital, for example, that what's the point of having a third reading if you can't change between the second and third? That kind of
You can
stuff.
change it after the second and the third. I know that it's not agreed with about rescinding the third reading by Mr. Stone in particular. However, we did do extensive research into that and got a legal opinion at the time. And
So it may be a good idea for the next strategy committee for you to give us a quick brief on how this thing's
I did send that by email, but I can circulate it again.
There is a good model out there tied to the anyways, there is a provincial government guideline that tells us what a good one should look like.
Yeah.
Now, every council is going to be different, but I think we should have a look at it and compare what we've got to what that is, and then decide from there. That's probably a good starting point.
I started marking it up, and it's too many to go through by hand. It's
Yeah.
just too much. I'm going to have to send this back to you to go. If we read this second now, that would be it.
You can still make changes after second. It's after third that you can't.
Oh, it's after third that you can't. Okay. My motion to table still stands because it's too much. I haven't had discussion. I haven't heard from guys, etc., etc.
Table it, let's do it next time.
Okay, so the motion, seconded motion is to table this discussion. All in favour? Opposed? Okay, so that's carried. So we'll table that one.
But then will we discuss it, or what is the next step?
We'll discuss it in the next strategy committee, committee of the whole.
So allocate it.
A big
Meaningful
watch.
piece of time.
Yeah, a big watch of time for it. It's important. Get right. Righty-ho.
So I did add a piece of correspondence when we adopted the agenda. The reason will be obvious when I hand this out, but there's a fast approaching deadline for another LNG pipeline expansion community meeting being hosted by Squamish, and I thought this might be interesting, so that's why I brought it forward. It's next week, February 25th, so I just wanted to make sure it got circulated.
Yeah, good, thanks. That's good, that's timely, so I suggest that we send this one to Ruth, for sure, and the rest of us consider if we want to attend.
I'll go for sure.
Yeah.
Can you make a note to get a copy of that to Bruce Simon? Thank you.
So that's on next Wednesday. Okay. I went through the correspondence. I didn't see anything that I can recall. I just have to check my notes that needed a decision or a resolution or an action item or anything.
Well, there is a piece in here about National Public Works Week that I thought council may want to consider, that we, maybe sprung for lunch for our Public Works crew during Public Works Week. It's not until the week of May 17th to 23rd, but it's in our package now. It would be relatively simple to resolve to acknowledge them through, footing the bill for pizza and pop or something, just to acknowledge their service.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would argue. Does that need a resolution?
I think,
Maybe we make a proclamation.
no, I know it is, but I think it might be nice for, for our guys to see that council support it. Make a
Well, it does
resolution.
actually say here the proclamation.
There's a great long one, yes, in the,
And it's terrible.
it is.
I'm looking
I looked at it and thought, oh, I
what
hope
is
that's
this?
not what we're gonna
It's
do.
written like 1,000 years
Yeah.
ago.
Is there a disclaimer?
This is just for Public Works.
Sorry?
This is just for.
It is, it's
Hey, it's giving me an
National
idea.
So-
Are you
Public
thinking
Works
one
Week.
out?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So,
It
Do
could
we
be
need
something
to-
as simple as that, council acknowledges the good work done by our public works crews and endorses
A celebration of
a
such over
celebration of-
lunch.
Yeah.
There we go.
every council member will dig 1 yard of ditch.
You're talking about one lunch, not successive lunches from the 17th
Yeah, no,
to the
one during
23rd?
that week.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
And I think also we should promote that week as well.
Sure, yeah, we
Promote it
certainly
out.
can.
Yeah, I don't know with the shipbuilding poster though.
Oh, we won't use that, we'll use something else.
Maybe the log clearing poster or something.
Maybe we'll get some action shots of our guys.
Good. So do you want to do that resolution now? Or
Yeah, we
close
probably
to the
should.
time?
I'm just, I'm trying to piece together what that, out of this horrendous proclamation, what that might look like.
Well, we can drop all the whereases.
Yeah.
So whereas Public Works is cool, we therefore proclaim the week of this as Public Works Week.
Yeah, I think you can just make the last one. Instead of saying I, Mayor, I think you can say that the Council of the Village of Lions Bay does hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2015 as Public Works Week in the Village of Lions Bay.
Okay, so can we take that as read? Move. Second. All in favour? Opposed? None? Carried?
And
So-
the action item can be that I will arrange for lunch for the guys one day that week.
And we'll issue a proclamation on vellum, hand-lettered. Very big.
And maybe on the e-post, we can talk about each of, a little bio on each of the staff, so
Yeah,
people
that's a
know
good
who they
idea.
are and what they do.
Maybe you and I can work on that.
Okay.
I like it.
I
Okay.
had a question. You said maybe one of us should go to
Yeah,
this?
yeah. Let's do it in order. Ombudsman, yeah,
Just information.
yeah. What page is that? The
Just
last
after
page,
that.
yeah. So I did send something around on this. There were about 7 programs that were eligible for funding. They were, sort of how to deal with fracking in your backyard and all kinds of stuff. I think about 2 were suitable for us, if I remember correctly. Oh, it wasn't 7, it was 4, and here they are. The Interdepartmental Recovery Fund for Species at Risk, Habitat and Stewardship Program for Species at Risk and Prevention of Species at Risk, Aboriginal Fund for Species at Risk, and the National Wetland Conservation Fund. So we don't have a national wetland, we don't have Aboriginal funds, so the other 2 were the ones that I thought might be interesting to us.
Are these the ones on top? Are those not funds?
I think that tells you how to get them.
Oh. Okay.
Oh no, you're right, there is an environmental damages fund.
And it looks like a day-long session.
Yeah.
Just overall, yeah.
Why am I not finding the dates?
It's actually on the preceding
Oh,
page.
here, yeah.
So it's Thursday, April the 16th.
Yeah. That's a governmental / community / infrastructural thing. So you guys can fight it out.
Thank you for your leadership.
So Ron, you're going? You volunteered?
No,
It's also financial
That's
because
what I
it's
get
funding.
from that. It's funding.
No, you all have to go. The only guy who doesn't have to go is me.
I will be in Hawaii getting married.
Really?
You're married in Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
I
Oh.
thought you were getting married on the island. When you said the island, I thought you meant that island. Congratulations. I sense a proclamation coming on. Okay, is that it for correspondence? I believe it is. New business. Halfway through. Okay, so Ron, take it away.
thank you. Early years grant for additional childcare space. And for Councillor Hughes, I'll give you a string of emails. Save you pouring through your computer later on. The quick skinny on this is that for a couple of weeks, what I would call the early childcare team has been looking at provincial grant potential, which could facilitate upgrades to the school, the field, the gym, to the benefit of early years and school-age children. This consideration is also repurposing the space at the Lions Bay School. There's also room to purchase an outbuilding or portable to be used for infant toddler care. That's also as far-reaching as rebuilding the Central Beach washroom, incorporating a second-floor multi-purpose space for use for childcare. Discussions within this loose but committed group of residents has been going somewhat back and forth as we see each other, and from the one formal meeting that they hosted, which Councillor Watterson and I have attended, it's got to the point now where they will be making a phone call into the provincial government to participate in Q&A. They'll be on the second take of that. The first one was full. The issue, and why I bring this up, is that clearly to connect the dots between childcare, school, and trying to maintain the pillar in our community is an obvious one. And some interaction is required, and it's quite cumbersome to have the things come back to the council all the time. Certainly, Councillor Watterson, myself, and Mayor Burr are a little bit aware, but nobody's made a material call on this, which is the key point of bringing this in public. The opportunities that they are, the key opportunity pieces are to participate in some form of a childcare facility at Central Beach, to negotiate with West Van School District and hive off a part of the gravel parking lot, and presumably probably the most inexpensive way would be to do a portable classroom reconfiguration into a childcare facility. This is where I left it, where they were considering. They believe that they can write their own grant application. My sense is that this team doesn't quite know what they want to do yet. They would like assistance. Part of the deal is that they would be looking for school board endorsement, which the principal has contacted the representative of the school board, so that should be forthcoming. I'm going to guess that Lions Bay will unanimously endorse the project to support the grant. I think that what Mayor Burr advises is this informal group is meeting again this week, that unless there's any disagreement to supporting childcare in the school endeavors, I'm comfortable in asking Mayor Burr to represent council to assist the childcare team to maximize their chances of success.
That's fine. Yes, I mean, the issue today is that there will be facilitation and high-level approach of provincial and not federal, but provincial funding source, meaning this is the Department of Child Welfare, or some Ministry of something, can't remember. So it's a $500,000 grant, or it's up to $500,000 grant, 90% funding. So, you know, it's a significant thing that needs to be pursued to its fullest opportunity. There are also village donors that can be approached at, you know, at sort of council level, and perhaps just a sort of a encouragement and chipping along. So be very happy to do that. I'm sort of doing it anyway. As I'm sure I don't need to tell you, I see this as strategic for the village. It's one of the legs of the stool to attract new young families to the community, in that they have childcare later on. It's a chicken and egg thing. The very good thing about some of the configurations of this as yet undecided opportunity is that if there are years where there are insufficient clients, just close the doors. You may have to keep pressure washing, but
Well, and there's, I mean, let's be somewhat larcenous, but there's opportunities for the rest of the community to generate income for this group too, with the desirable asset.
use of the
Baseball
use of the
field,
facility,
private functions, a variety of things could be used. So clearly it's something that I, from my perspective, council would be supportive of. It's just very cumbersome for a big email or telephone tirade to go back and forth to keep everybody posted. I'm fine with the mayor doing his duties.
Fine. Well, I may pull people in as specialties required, but yeah, I'm happy to do it. Everybody good with that?
So if everybody's fine, confirmed, good. Thank you.
Okay, is that it? Thanks, Ron. 2015 municipal grant applications.
I'll invite Pam to join us again.
Thank you, Mayor. We have an annual municipal grant process where nonprofit community groups can apply to the Village of Lions Bay for community grants. And they're required to submit an application stipulating the amount they're requesting with some backup by December 31st of each year. So I've attached a schedule showing the 2015 requests, and there's a bit of history with the 2013 awarded and the 2014 awarded. And we do have all of the applications, and they're available electronically, so if Mayor and Council were to request any backup, I can email that to them. But essentially, the process is Mayor and Council review the grant requests, and the grants are subject to Council approval. So Council determines which grants are to be approved and the amount of the grants, and then that's determined, approved by resolution. And currently it's on the March 3rd, on the agenda for the March 3rd Council meeting. So it's really just a summary for your review, and again, if you require any backup, we do have the applications which we can send to you.
Thanks, Pam. Just remind me, what's in kind versus actual?
In kind would be, for example, using the facilities rent-free. So we assign a value to it, but there's actually no exchange of money, that we would just, it's a notational amount, really.
Yep. So no discussion as to yay or nay. When we look at these, do we go through them individually, or do we say yes to the whole package or no to the whole
It
package?
can be all addressed individually.
Okay.
And say I have backup for each individual request, and you can let me know if you require that, and it can be sent to you.
Are you looking for an email per member for thoughts, or how would you like to compile this? Or do you want, or should there be discussion?
Not quite sure how it's been done historically. Essentially, it's council's decision. So as a group, you would decide which ones you approve, which ones you don't. If you want to approve them but amend the amount, that's where the backup might be helpful. And if 2 weeks is sufficient time, it would be at the next council meeting that you would put forward which ones you support, and we would adopt it by resolution.
This is the second kick of the cat for me. I'd be happy to give you my views, Pamela, and copy council as some thoughts, and that at the next meeting we're together we can opine.
The number that's been talked about, 24,555, is that a budgeted number yet, or is
No, it's
the
not.
budget will come out of this number?
Exactly. Currently, just as a sort of a placeholder, we put the 15,120 in the budget, last year's amount, and then we will add additional amount if required for council's approval.
I'd like to go through that with you, since most of these groups fall under my
They're all community
portfolio.
groups.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please.
Why don't I email you, or we'll chat and I'll do that. It's okay. Happy to.
Good. Okay. So this will come to us on March 3rd
Yes.
for
Resolution.
Basically,
It's a resolution, it's not a bylaw, so
No,
it's
just a resolution as to which you approve.
it's bang, 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 okay.
And then the process after that, we will notify the groups as to what they've been approved for, but we actually don't release the funds until June because technically they can't be released until the budget is adopted. But this is the first step in that you provide us with a number, then we can actually put it in kind of a chicken egg so we can get it into the budget for approval and then we release the funds after adoption of the budget. But we will let the groups know as soon as it's approved by council so that at least they can anticipate what amounts they'll be getting.
Becoming more like Councillor Watterson. This is probably something we should put out to the e-post for the residents that are keen to receive their money when in fact they can't till June.
The fact that it's not gonna come immediately?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, however we format this, is just getting the message out. So in the past, in the last 2 years where it's become a more formal process, there's been some disconnect.
Yeah, I mean, if people know that it's coming, they can certainly self-fund until then. I mean, if
Yeah. So it's just I see it's a heads up.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a process, I believe the finance department, once we had council approval, I would notify all of the different, the applicants.
And that would be the
amount that
case in
was
2 weeks'
approved.
time.
Yes, and then
They
at
would
that
know.
point, let them know when it would be paid.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and it's always, well, the more information, the better. Good.
Good news is so rare.
That's not true.
We're trying to
not
change
true.
that.
Some people use it, they're
Okay,
approved.
here, the taxpayers were giving you your money back, yeah, okay.
Okay, good. That's all you need to input there. Thank you,
Okay,
Pam.
thanks, Tim.
Community beautification.
Thank you, this is my topic. This is the, visually, if you go from Ocean View Gate to the end of Highview, is approximately 50 homes. I talked to council about this before. I'm going to take this as a personal project to, let's call it community beautification. I'm sure Councillor Watterson will come up with some other words for me. But in terms of that, the general concept here would be as I envisage it, and in discussing this with a number of the folks in the length of the area under concern, is that this would be a combination of resident, private contractor, and public participation, ergo the Works Department. The latter hasn't been worked out to any fine degree, other than I know that the Works Manager will be doing some beautification at the trailhead at Ocean View to do some new plants and a bench and some other tidy up, because we expect that area is going to be heavily utilized this summer. In terms of commitment by the neighbors, I have 7, again, subject to Councillor Watterson's confirmation, community captains who are prepared to take 7 or 8 homes each as their email filter so that nobody's getting 50 emails. The idea being that we'll rattle out the potential date, which is looking very much like the first part of May, according to what the gardening professional says, for maximum planting effect. The thoughts that have come around has been tree trimming, chipping, enhanced lighting. This is for private property lighting. One neighbor has a connection with a trash buster group, so contrary to my thought about no dishwashers or sewing machines or dead cars, we may be taking the whole works. There's discussion about plants per driveway, something on the roadside, and I have to talk to Nikki. Hadn't really thought about it, but there is no street lighting on my street, so maybe there's something we can do there. Long story short is that I should have something a little more formal toward the end of March for everybody to consider.
Okay, this will entail commitment of village resources.
Yes,
Some.
to be determined which ones based on what could be the need.
Yeah, I mean, in principle, I think it's a great idea, obviously. It's near and dear to my heart. My only concern is what is its impact on the public works work plan, and that just needs to be said. Maybe it's on the work plan.
That's the Works Manager, and I have to kind of work that out in a big picture way,
Yeah.
go back through the CAO and back to council. Presumably this will be a Saturday affair, So there's.
Is there any way to turn this into a village-wide spring cleanup?
My suggestion is that I'm going to do the first 50 homes. If it's successful, and I'll borne the hardship and getting it explored and figure out who we can use and what works, what doesn't. I'm then prepared to go to a second 50 homes in the fall and work my way down towards the water, which would take the homes approximately from the corner of Highview, Ocean View, down past where Peter Dorsman lives. That's about 50. I'm not sure where we go in. But I mean, 50 seems like a workable number where you're not, putting in 20 hours to do something.
Yeah, well, as long, I'm sure you know this, but I'll say it
Because then
anyway.
my challenge will be for my learned colleagues to be each taking on 100 homes.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want there to be any sense of preferential treatment, and so, but we will just make sure that doesn't happen.
I'm not sure what the preferential treatment would be, but
Well, anybody who doesn't live on Ocean View is going to say, well, what about us?
we're actually, oddly enough, we're all geographically spread around the village, so we could alternate this. I mean, I get your point, Mayor Burr. It's just
Yeah, I'm thinking about in terms of the opportunity to actually get a heavy lift helicopter and pull out some dead trees, but maybe that's a little excessive.
it'd be hard to get the resident part of the participation to write the check for that one.
Okay, a light lift helicopter, I don't know, something a little more heroic than mowing the lawn.
So,
But-
Helen
You
first.
could go first and produce your list of homes and break out the 50, 50, 50 all the way along, and then do something where, have some way of selecting that area you're gonna start with, and that gets rid of that.
I'm hopeful that whenever it's concluded and it's reported that I have a strong sense that the villagers are fairly competitive, and that there may be an ask for a street to adopt a councillor, shall we say, so that they may actually get the opportunity.
I mean, just the organisation itself is probably half the battle. So
And I think for me it's just a template. Let's see what works and what doesn't.
yeah, I like it.
so I'm thinking, can we communicate it out as phase 1, so that then people will know
Could you
that
assist me
there's
in the
phase
marketing of
2.
this, Councillor
Yes.
Watterson? Thank you.
Well,
So,
you may
phase
want to start
1,
thinking about banners. I mean,
and I'll take on phase
I like
2.
standard banners.
Yes, are you
Yeah.
kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Okay,
Spring Clean Week is
yes.
May.
And phase 1 starts there, and then maybe we roll out
We'll
phase
see.
2.
Well, we're not going to just do a part. I mean, there's certainly, even within a small part, even from the initial discussion, it's now morphed into an annual. So, okay.
Okay, good. That's enough on that one. Good idea. Library update. I think that's you as well, Ron.
Yes, and I'm happy to say that the shelves are installed and they have been painted. So we are done relative to the contractor there, and I would guess that with their personnel moving the books in, I think within the next month we'll be finding out that we're attending their muffin and tea party.
Are we doing anything about PC Carousel yet? Was that a new project? Carousel with 4 PCs and a printer in it? For some friendly neighborhood PC adept kid to give seminars on?
We don't have a budget for it. Nothing.
Nothing.
No budget's been set.
Yeah.
Although, depending on where they are when they finish with their numbers, I'm not sure what the cost is for this.
Or the space. I don't, because they've,
I don't know.
some of the space, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
They, in addition to the paint and general pretty up, they do have some new furniture, and I've kind of lost the thread beyond that.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so everything's hunky-dory there is the short.
The short of it.
Okay, good. That's it for new business. Moving on to public questions and comments. Mr. Stone.
First, I want to thank council for tabling the procedure, because there's a lot in there that has to be looked at. A question I have is, with regard to public art design in the grants for $8,800. Be interested in knowing what that money would be used for. I'm concerned about a possible water shortage in the village. There's not much snow up on the mountain. I'm concerned about those of us who don't use electronic communication and we don't know anything that's going on in the village. What is council considering to notify those of us who don't use electronic communication? Because I'm one of those. I have no clue whatsoever what's going on in the village. There seems to be a reliance on electronic communication, and it doesn't communicate to those of us who don't use it.
Understand?
I'm interested in knowing about preventative maintenance at the CN rail, if there's any follow-up there.
Haven't had an update. Have you heard anything from?
Yeah, let me take these one by one, Mr. Stone, so that we don't lose track. So the 8,800 is the line. No, it's not going to count it, but we'll deduct it
Oh, thank you.
somehow. That is Lions Bay Arts Council request. It is only a request. Is the request public?
No.
No, the grant is in-house at this point.
Yeah. So it's sub judice at the moment. So the content of the grant request is still within the administration, but that is the Lions Bay Art Council. Water shortage. You're not as worried as the infrastructure committee, and we are contemplating our options there, including quantification of the current snow pack, trying to correlate it to future stream flow. We're just as concerned as you are, currently and long term.
Good.
Electronic communications. I hate to tell you this, but it is kind of fairly standard now. So, you know, we use electricity for the last 100 years. We've used email for the last 30. So we are going to address that's actually perfect timing. The segue. That's why we want PCs in the library, so that people can come and check the email there.
But there are a lot of people who are not into that technology.
That is unfortunately fairly standard. It's not revolutionary. It's not unheard of. It's a well-known technology now. We do put notice up in the post office. We've stopped using carrier pigeons. It's how it is. I mean, you use a telephone, right? I mean, you know, where is the boundary? Where does it start and stop?
I'm just saying that you're cutting off a lot of people in the village.
We're well aware of that. That's why we want to offer PC seminars so that people can get comfortable with email. That's why we want PCs, so not have to force people to use them. Well aware of that. We only have 524 people on our email list. That's not enough. So we're very conscious of the lack of communication because of that, especially now with the folding of lionsbay.net and the magazine. One more. You had one more point, I think.
I had several. With regard to safety, child safety, for many years, Brunswick Beach has entertained a certain degree of type of people in the summertime that raises concerns about safety. I think you probably know what I'm alluding to.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've always been concerned that if children were, you know, become mixed in there, that there could be some problem arising. So I'm concerned that nothing in over 25, 30 years has actually been done about alleviating that problem in the summertime. And additionally, there are no facilities there. You know what I mean by washroom facility. And there are people there, and there have been cases where, well, I won't go into detail. You get the message on that.
Yeah, you're referring to the nude beach, and we're
Yes.
aware of that. It's not something that's on our radar immediately, but we're very aware of the issues. We've attended meetings at Brunswick Beach where people are somewhere between angry and livid, and we understand it.
Yeah.
There have been solutions proposed. We will look into them.
Okay. And I'm also concerned about general beach safety. We now have more and more people from out of town coming to our, I guess, the Lions Bay Beach, and I'm concerned about new people coming and not being aware of the depth of the water, and perhaps, you know, that could be an issue that should be of a concern.
Thanks. I'll touch on this one and then maybe one more, and then we'll need to cut you off. So the infrastructure committee is conscious of the issue there and has made some recommendations. They haven't come to council yet. We're still waiting to repackage them. Then they will come as recommendations, and I'm hoping that we will actually have a way to address that safety issue at the beach.
Good, that's good. I have other things, but I'll leave it for now.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Stone.
Okay, thank you.
Those are all very good comments. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so if I just take that off there. Moving to the next item, a resolution to close the meeting. The resolution is, be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council does close the February 17th, 2015 regular council meeting to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following sections of the Community Charter. 91. A part of a council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one more of the following. Sub C, labour relations or other employee relations. Sub G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Sub J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of FOIPA, which is the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Clear the court.
I need to move in a second.
No, I need to move it. I'll move that second. All in favour? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
That's better.
Okay, so we will report out into the public acting CAO duties, and the resolution is that the Chief Financial Officer and the Public Works Manager be authorized to act in the CAO role during periods of CAO's absence as
directed by
directed
the CAO.
by the CAO.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's all from the closed session, I think.
Good, okay, thanks. So we move to reverting to the open meeting. The open meeting is now in session, and I believe the only thing on the agenda is closing.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn. Second, in favour? Opposed? Carried. 9 minutes.